Welcome to Time for Tots. Our story today is Mrs. Chicken and the Hungry Crocodile. Let's see if I can look. There's Mrs. Chicken and there's the hungry crocodile with his big mouth. Ooh. One morning, Mrs. Chicken took her bath in a puddle. "Cluck, cluck," she said proudly. "What a pretty chicken I am. Big, bright eyes, short, smooth beak, but I can't see my wings. This puddle is too small." She walked down to the river to get a better look. She didn't know that Crocodile lay in the river all day long waiting for her dinner. Mrs. Chicken leaned over the water. She said, "I still can't see my wings. I see scaly green legs and a long mouth with sharp teeth, but where is my beak?" Crocodile lay very still and waited. "Yum, yum," she thought, "that's my dinner." "I look different in the river," said Mrs. Chicken. She turned to one side. Crocodile did too. Mrs. Chicken turned to the other side, and so did Crocodile. "I'd like a closer look," said Mrs. Chicken. She stepped into the river. Snap! Crocodile grabbed Mrs. Chicken's foot in her mouth. "Bawk!" said Mrs. Chicken. "Let go!" Crocodile shook her head. She dragged Mrs. Chicken to her house on the island in the middle of the river. Then she slammed the door shut with her tail and opened her mouth. Mrs. Chicken flew up to the rafters. "Come down," Crocodile said. "I'm going to eat you up." "Me?" Mrs. Chicken squawked. "You can't eat me." "Ooh, yes I can," said Crocodile. "But," said Mrs. Chicken, "you shouldn't eat me." "Why not?" asked Crocodile. "Because," said Mrs. Chicken, "I'm your sister." "Ha, ha, ha," Crocodile laughed. "You're not my sister. You have speckled feathers. I have green skin. You have a beak. I have a mouth with sharp teeth. And these teeth are going to eat you up." "No," said Mrs. Chicken. "We look different, but we're sisters. I'll prove it. Just give me time." "All right," chuckled Crocodile. "I'll fatten you up. The longer I wait, the plumper you'll get." Crocodile yawned and curled around her eggs. And there's her eggs. Soon she was snoring. Mrs. Chicken made a nest in the corner opposite Crocodile and settled down to lay her own eggs. So look, they both have 3 eggs. Every day, Crocodile gave Mrs. Chicken grain to eat. Every night, they fell asleep over the eggs. Mrs. Chicken got fatter and fatter. Crocodile got thinner and hungrier. One evening, Crocodile said, "This is your last meal. Tomorrow will be my big dinner." "We'll see," said Mrs. Chicken. She waited until Crocodile was sleeping. Then she carefully put her eggs next to Crocodile. She took Crocodile's eggs to her own nest. Just before dawn, Crocodile felt something move beside her. "Mrs. Chicken," she called, "wake up! My babies are hatching. But why do they have those silly little beaks and scrawny little wings? They look like you." "My eggs are hatching too," said Mrs. Chicken. "Look!" She stepped off her nest and looked at her. "Oh," said Crocodile, "what beautiful babies you have. What gorgeous green skin, what lovely long mouths, what darlings. They look like me." "And your babies look like me," said Mrs. Chicken. "I told you we're sisters. You almost ate me, your own sister." "I'm really sorry, Sister Chicken," said Crocodile. "I have an idea," said Mrs. Chicken. "Since you like my babies so much, you can have them. I'll take your funny-looking babies instead. "Oh, thank you, Sister Chicken," said Crocodile. "Don't mention it," said Mrs. Chicken. "Sisters help one another." So they switched babies. "Time for us to go home now," Mrs. Chicken said. She and her babies climbed onto Crocodile's back, and Crocodile carried them across the river. So there's the crocodile and the babies in the water, and there's the mama chicken and the baby chicks on the crocodile's back. "Bye-bye, Sister," Crocodile said. Mrs. Chicken waved her wing and hurried her chicks up the riverbank. "See you soon," called Crocodile. "No, you won't," called Mrs. Chicken as she disappeared through the trees. "Come along, children, cluck, cluck." Since that day, Mrs. Chicken and her children have never gone near the river, and they always take their baths in puddles. "Big enough for us," Mrs. Chicken tells her children, "and much too small for crocodiles." So I thought we might like to make a chicken. So there's my mama chicken. And I also made 2 chicks. So I started with a toilet paper roll, and then I cut it in half. Then I took a stapler and some feathers. For the mama chicken, I took some colored ones, because when in the book, when you looked at her, she had the brown feathers. If you look, you can see she has colored feathers here for her wings. And I tried taping them in, but that didn't work very well. So then I just stapled them in there. And then I took, if you want a fluffy chicken, you can take some yellow felt. If you have construction paper, you can just take some yellow construction paper. And then I just took the width, and I put a mark on my paper, and I drew a line across. And then I cut that off to make my yellow strip if I wanted a fluffy chicken. And then I just, this one's a little short, but it'll give you an idea. And I actually just stapled this as well. It just stays in place a whole lot better. And then for the mama chicken, I actually did 2, one on top of the other to make her a little bit bigger. And then I cut the same width of strip from orange. And then I folded the strip in half. And then I folded it over. And then I cut the little toes. I cut it in half. First I cut my strip in half, just to the fold. And then I cut out the little toes, just cutting out little triangles. And I just found when I put the extra layer on here, it helped the chicken to stand up a little better so that it wouldn't tip too much. And then I just stapled that in there as well. And then I took a little piece of the orange, a strip, and I folded it in half. Just a little piece, and then I cut it in a triangle as well, and I glued that on for the little beak. Then I took a black marker and made 2 little eyes. And then for the top feather, I actually took another feather, and then I took a small strip of yellow, either felt or construction paper. And I put that over top, and then I stapled on each side of it to keep the feather in place. So then I've got a chicken with a top knot, 2 little eyes, and a little orange beak, which I've lost here somewhere, but that ends up like a little chick like this one. So there's a mama chick and 2 baby chicks. Cluck, cluck, cluck. Have fun.